this course for anyone pursuing a career in the cloud, anyone who doesn't know where to start. This would be a good starting point in your career.
And that's all. I have gone through UDMI classes. I have gone through other institutes, and honestly, nobody supports that. Not even single learn. I have gone Simply Learn also. Paid a lot of money Simply Learn to go through, but none of them.
So yeah, that's kind of I would say major difference, and made my experience quite interesting to go with this training group.
Secondly, very important, I must say that the way you guys have laid out that you give some time to the students, because everybody comes with a different pace. So it's not that a 3 months course or 4 months course. It's okay. I understand that it's a 4 months course, but still, like, you give people an opportunity to have a self-pace in case if they want to connect back, they want to clear things out. I really appreciate the way you guys have arranged this.
With K21, it's a complete package. I don't think I've seen anyone else that offers it. The leverage you have is the WhatsApp groups, the 24/7 staff support, ticketing systems, materials.
My main aim was to belong to a community like K21, because they also encourage their workers to belong to communities for development, right? If you want to write certifications, you want to continue with studies in regards to your job, they encourage that as well.
So K21 Academy, the training sessions and the videos are very well organized, very professionally done. And if you don't even have a technical background, I don't think it will be a matter. Anybody can join this training course, and all the trainers are very helpful.
The good thing is, right, you have pre-recorded sessions, live sessions, right? And if you look at some of the modules, it starts from the very basic. It tells you what is cloud. So you can actually come into K21 with no IT experience, right?
But as K21 gives the opportunity to stay connected for a year, I believe that's an edge which K21 has.
Trainers are excellent. There are plenty of students. I see that all over the world are participating. For professionals like us, it's very helpful. Materials are great. Hands-on labs are wonderful.
Since I joined the academy, honestly, I just feel like when I was going for the interview, immediately I sent anything to, if I ask any question, I get a response. So I felt so confident.
I would highly recommend K21. Actually, I did. Actually, a few of my colleagues in LinkedIn asking me that, hey, how did you clear this exam? I said, well, you can go cheap way for $12, go to Udemy and do something on your own, or you can join K21 Academy. They can help you to really learn, and certification is just a side effect. It's not the main thing, but the focus should be hands-on lab and really actual job-oriented projects that they will help you to do.
That means if I get a job, and when I write to the support team, they always respond as well. Like they did a project for me from end to end, and it was so wonderful.
So anybody is even trying to get into the technology field, I think K21 Academy is there to help them. And it's a great way to learn something.
And from the very first day I signed up to K1 Academy from the class, I realized that they had the coach, they have expatriate, they have team, and they have advisor that can actually ask you, what exactly are you doing? So we can help you so that you can get exactly what you're looking for when it comes to career paths.
But when I got to know about K21 Academy, that it is an interactive session, and always, there is an opportunity for us to ask the questions then and there whenever we have something to exchange thoughts, and definitely, it's all group of people with all the different levels of experience.
Aptu will not lie. He will not ask you to lie on your resume, and the program is also well designed and very robust. And one other good thing is the instructors, they are very knowledgeable currently in the industry. So they are teaching you based on the job requirement, not just to pass certification.
K1 Academy have every resources that you need or you have to excel, to transform you to career when it comes to the field IT?
With K21 Academy, I learn a lot. The first one is based on the communication. The teachers are reliable. Then we have a great support service.
So in K21 Academy, I really want to a special gratitude to Rishabh, who has been a great mentor, who actually has been involved in making the session more inclusive, making it more interactive, and by sharing his experiences and some real-time examples. So it's mostly a scenario-based discussions I really enjoyed.
So after the whole conversation, I saw a roadmap that is very, very solid that could help people to navigate from a zero state to a very mature state.
The first thing I would say is one thing I like about the K2 Academy first are the level of experience instructors you guys have. It was very detailed, very thorough, and he also was able to cover every area of the topics that we needed to cover.
So for me, I love the program, and if one person knows everything that is in the database of K21, the person is already a super guru, because the person will just be solving all the IT problems.
So for someone who is not knowledgeable at all, the boot camps and the exposure in 2021 gives a clear roadmap of how people can follow from a zero state to a very mature state. So it's like the roadmap is a magic stick for K21.
Besides, I see that 24/7 support help desk. And Atul, who has been very meticulous in organizing, in ensuring that the quality of training is provided. And I think he is very much open to the constructive feedback, all those things. So it's like, you can say 360-degree level of audience satisfaction, participant satisfaction is something which is the main motto. And I believe that's actually driving it to the next level, K21 Academy.
Hey guys, hey everyone, this is Atul. We're on our third and final day of a 3 days boot camp. I hope you're having a good time. You had a good holiday or a couple of days off on Christmas break. Now
this meeting is being recorded.
Hi everyone, this is Atul. As I said, I was telling just now, it's being Friday and you have the brave ones to be here. Today is third and final day of a 3 days boot camp. What a day and what a whole 3 day experience. Let me know where you're tuning in, and we'll be starting now, as a lot of guys are ramping up, and we'll start now literally in a minute or so. Just let me know where you guys from. Today's third and final day, which is talking about DevOps, but I've added AIOps and MLOps as well. Put in the chat window where you from. I'm based in UK, London. It's a little bit cloudy here on 27th of December, Friday, 3:32 p.m. Kind of a dark mode. I'm looking forward for holidays now. And so do let me know, and also let me know, did you attend this? Is it your first day, or you have attended first two, or no, depending on 1, 2, 3 commas operated by 1, 2, 3 if you've attended 1, 2, or 3. With that, let's begin with, put in the chat window, guys. I'm a little bit curious to know, and if you're watching this as a replay in future, just put it like, what do you call, fast forward this play and put it in. Let me share my screen. Okay, share. Do let me know if you can see my screen, guys. If you can share my screen, and we'll begin with prompting now. Can someone confirm, either from my team or? Yes, brilliant.
Yes,
okay. Yes, Syed. Hey, Syed, nice, wonderful. Okay, so brilliant. So we are, as I said, if you're not introduce yourself, go and introduce yourself. Ruben is from Texas for US, Jets, US, Canada. First time, Leopold. Where are you from, Leopold? Nigeria. This is my first day. Okay, a lot of first times. Brilliant. Okay, no worries. Let's begin with that. As I said, today is the third and final day of 3 days boot camp. AI, machine learning. So AI and AIOps and MLOps. So I'm not going to teach about AI or ML. What I'm going to teach is AIOps and MLOps. But we're going to primarily focus on DevOps, and we're going to look at everything right from Git, Jenkins, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Prometheus, Grafana. Some things will go high level, something will go deeper. But the most important is DevOps, all these tools, but in the context of cloud as well. the learning part, the hands-on lab, the project work, the certification and job as well. And as I said, my sessions are usually very, very interactive. So please stay closer to your keyboard, pay special attention onto this. And I'm going to do a quick recap of everything that you need to know and talk about is, as I said, this is a 3 days bootcamp. Day 1 we had on 21st of December. Then we had 23rd just before Christmas break, and then 27th before I go. Today is a fast final day, and they'll be coming back on 2nd or 3rd of January on with proper next week after this. So this is all 3 days boot camp. Now, as I said, if you've not introduced, just put the chat window. I can see a lot of guys from US. I'm based in London. So I just want to know anyone from UK or which part of I moved from India to UK back in 2004. So it's been 20 years. Piyush is from Maharashtra, India. Tirumala Madhu is from India. There are a lot of US, not anyone from UK. That's strange. But anyway, so let's without spending more time, guys. As I said, if you let me know where are you from, I'll be picking up and I'll be checking as well. So with that, let's go straight on to what you will be learning. As I said, Git, Jenkins, Ansible, Docker, Azure DevOps, AWS DevOps, Terraform, Kubernetes, and I have a lot on my list as well. Which one you're the most interested about? We'll also have Prometheus, Grafana, Helm, Argo CD. Which one you want to know more, or any questions you have, so I understand as well. Guys, with me, I'm going to be on quiet. As I said, for me, it's more interactive. Otherwise, I could record a video. I want to do a little bit active participation. So let me know which one topic you want to hear more about. Azure DevOps, good. Siddesh. So there is a certification called AZ400 we'll be talking about. We'll be involving that. Kubernetes, Madhu, we are going to talk about. No, I think we are going to cover Kubernetes, but we're going to cover Kubernetes on Azure. No, sorry, AWS, EKS, Kubernetes and Azure DevOps, Kubernetes, wow. Kubernetes, a lot of Kubernetes. Okay, good. Terraform, DevOps, no one from MLOps, no one for AIOps, all these DevOps tools, sure, demos, okay. Brilliant. So I'm going to give you this whole path about right from beginning from DevOps basics to cloud basics to Linux, Git, Jenkins, Ansible, all these things that I've said. So this is going to be the first part. I'm going to break this down into 3 different parts. First is the basic DevOps, which I did back in 2011-12. I started my career back in 2000, so 2011-12, all the way to 2017, 18, 19, and then looked at other things as well. That second part, which is more advanced, and then last 2-3 years further things. So we'll be breaking down into 3 different parts. I'm also going to give you this learning path, how you can do a 12-week learning path. You can take it and then implement to learn some part or maybe all of the part, but then there's a more additional part that we're going to cover as well. We'll also give you the hands-on lab that you can perform to go deeper and learn these topics, including the certification, some of the common certifications, which one I would do, which you can skip. Not all of them are required, but it'll help you to learn and understand, pick maybe 1 or 2 of those. But the main focus is going to be all about making sure that you get paid higher and work on skills that are required for the job. So that was first part. The second part, we are going to go a little bit more advanced things that might be happening. Some of you guys might already be working. Things like, as I said, GitOps, Argo CD, Helm, Prometheus, Grafana, and so on. We'll also look at the project work you should be doing, especially the more advanced project work, so that they can put in your resume as an experience. Then the third and final part is going to be more about what you see in with respect to AI and machine learning, which is machine learning operations or MLOps and AIOps. Within MLOps, we're going to look at Kubeflow, which is a Kubernetes-based machine learning operations MLOps open source platform, or like the services. We'll also look at MLOps pipeline briefly, and then AIOps, why these things are becoming important as well. Also towards end, I'm going to cover the 3 AI tools that I'm using myself and my team actively using them. One of them you probably already know, but 2 of those things which will be important for you, whether you're working on DevOps, developer, whatever track. Also, another one, which is if you're working as an architect, a lot of guys, or I had a pain of drawing diagrams. So there's something which is available. You can use it to draw diagrams, which we'll be talking about as well. Now, that's we are going to cover today. I'll briefly and quickly touch base with what we covered on day 1 and day 2. The whole journey, what we are looking for is the basic underlying cloud, which is cloud, all the 4 cloud, but I'm primarily focused on 2 cloud, AWS and Azure, because these are the two top cloud. You should also be, if you have bandwidth, if you have a requirement, maybe pick another two clouds, which is Google and Oracle. We also on day one touched about data, and then on top of that, AI, machine learning, and all right-hand side, these MLOps, AI Ops, and DevOps as well that we looked at. Now, if you want to know more about what these things are, I've recorded a video, or there's a guide available. If you go to the k2academy.com/free community, I'm going there right now just to show it to you so that you feel comfortable. So k2academy.com/free community. Go to this. This is a free community. You have to register once and come here on Classroom. And then under FAQ, frequently asked questions, there'll be under their AI data and multi-cloud. Refer to this. This is a worth looking at why we are covering, why this is a game changer in 2025. If you've not started working, you have to have the holistic full picture. You can get away with just one of this or this of this, one of this, any of these. But if you really want to earn a very good money, you probably look in the whole complete picture. That's something available here. So that's something, check out more. All these services which I mentioned, all the 4 parts that we are doing. Now the replay, apart from that, there's one more thing. As I said, day 1, day 2, day 3. Today's day 3, but day 0 and day 1 replays I'm going to talk about as well, where to find those replays for you. So if you go to the Classroom again, you come here, the second part, this is where you will have the day 1 and day 2. So day 1, we talked about AWS, day 2 spoke about Azure. And day 0 is another one which I did it on 12th of December. Highly recommend you to go through that. So I'm going to just quickly walk you through on what we covered on day 1, which is day 0. Watch the replay after this. Highly recommend you to go through the day 0. Day 1, we covered about AWS, everything about AWS, right from a cloud architect, administrator, developer, security, DevOps, data, and AI track as well. So the services, the hands-on lab, the certifications, and the project you should be doing. Similarly, we did for day 2 on Microsoft Azure Cloud on Monday, which is all about similar roles, but on Microsoft Azure Cloud. The different job roles, the learning path, the certifications, the hands-on lab, and the project you should be doing as well. Now, with that, is everyone aligned? This is what we're going to start from here today now. Is everyone with me on here on the page? So when I start, I always begin with proof and inspiration as well. So just put in the chat window and then saying you're with me on here. I'm going to ask it multiple times because I can't see you guys. So I need a little bit of feedback from you to stay aligned and stay focused on these sessions as well. Great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you guys. Thanks. Okay, so as I said, I always begin with some inspiration, some proof. And this is what, and I'll tell you the reason why I say begin with this is that back in 2000, when I started my career, I was earning first 4 years for a very less salary. I worked very hard and moved to UK back in 2004, early 2004. And at that time, I was drawing probably around 89, 90 pounds a day. If you convert it into probably 2,400, that's around that salary range, 90, like 2,700 a month. And that time, and I think within 2 or 3 months, I met a colleague of mine and who was drawing 550 pounds a day. And when I saw him, that I was drawing probably around 90, roughly, if you divide by salary by that time, 90 pound a day versus 550 pound a day, that made me thinking that if someone else can do it, I can do as well. And that from that day onwards, for almost now 10 months, 11 months, I was on my journey to struggle, a lot of hard work, a lot of things. Eventually, maybe around 11 months later, I got my first contract rate of 425 pounds a day. And since then, there's no looking back. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because that day, someone told me that what's possible. And that made me believe that I can, if he can or he or she can do it, if it's there, I can do that as well. So it's my journey to show it to you that some of the guys, what they've achieved, you can achieve as well. And that's why I always begin my sessions with these inspirations so that you get inspired. If someone else can do it, I can do as well. So Nilesh, I'm happy to share that I've got an offer from HCL Technologies as a senior DevOps position. This is someone from India working as a senior DevOps, learning and so on. Another one I shared on day 2, Nazif. I'm saying that I received my job offer in late September. I started learning on June, and late September received my job offer. Najeeb. Another one here, SJ. I keep repeating that because this is very, very inspiring for me. She came with her husband. Both of them joined or learned, and she has doubled her salary, earning from 85 to I think $175,000 within probably very short span of time. I think 6 or 7 months. And not her alone, but her husband also got a job as well. And I have tons and tons of stories like that just to inspire you, and not only just about this, but also working on a senior leadership roles like Kennedy, working here in UK as well. So this is what I'm going to talk about that towards and about a 3-step framework. I've mentioned about, gave a glimpse of on day 1. I mentioned about in depth about on day 2 about 3-step framework to get certified and get a high paying job. Just copy paste what I've done here and take it away and implement in to make 2025 your best year ever. And this is the exact same step I've gone through myself first, as I said, earning less than $100 a month back in first 4 or 5 years of my career, to then 450 pounds. Sorry, then came to UK, and from there turning to 425 pounds a day to 500, 700, 900, or in excess of 1,000 pounds a day that I charge. It's all doable, possible as well. Now, while upscaling, it's not always a rosy and good as it sounds like, and I don't want to be giving you false hope that okay, it will be all ups and downs. I had a lot of my challenges, especially one after getting my first contract around 11, 12. That's when I started learning DevOps and cloud. So I was working on-premise world before that. I was working as a database administrator, security architect, and so on. But I realized that by 2011, 12, things were moving towards cloud and things were moving towards DevOps. And that's where my journey started with cloud and DevOps. But every couple of years, I kept learning new and new things as things changed. And so one key takeaway you want to take it from me here today is that make sure you keep learning new skills and keep updating and upgrading yourself as well. So learn cloud data, multi-cloud, AI, machine learning, which you should be doing as well. So if you have any questions, I'll be opening up the questions towards end. But if you have if you have any career related, guidance related, but if you have any questions before that, any technical questions, keep posting them. I'll be picking them on the journey. Now, these are some of the clients that I've worked across. Mentioned. I'll briefly touch base for those. Some of you guys are new here. So these are the guys or clients I've worked in last my 24 years in career all across the globe, right from here in UK with Royal Bank of Scotland, WorldPay, Scottish Government, Atradius in Netherlands, Pepperdine in US, Toyota in Brussels, ICC in Switzerland, and all across the globe as well. Just wanted to show you that everything that you're going to learn today is coming from real implementation and implementing clients all across the globe as well. And why I'm telling you this is I always had a dream and desire of working 4Ws. I had a coach back in 2017, 18-ish on my journey to learn, because I realized soon that if I have someone to guide and mentor me, I can achieve. And that's what I've worked towards is 4Ws, where to work, when to work, what to work, and who to work with as well. And all dream started when my daughter was young, and she's now grown up. She's 16, and I think 2011, 12ish when it started. Like she was in early stages. She used to crib. I used to travel a lot for my work related, doing a lot of consulting, and she wanted to I wanted to spend a lot more time with her, and that's when I started my journey on this, where I can have 4Ws as well. And now I'm proud to say that I've achieved a lot of freedom now to decide all these 4. And that's my whole objective of having these sessions, boot camps, things to inspire others to see what I've achieved so you can achieve as well. So this is just to say what the dream of life. And I'm not going to say that it's all easy, but then it's fun for me. Sometimes I work long hours, sometimes I don't work for weeks and weeks as well. So I can control what I want to work, when I want to work as well. So with that, we're going to talk about this framework a little bit towards end as well. Now, just wanted to tell you that at the same time, because some of you guys are new, is that the framework which I'm going to talk about here, they are not just work for me, but have worked pretty much everyone who has followed religiously these steps, 3-step framework across all over the globe, and on the different domains as well. But as long as you have the same framework across, be it like Tolu, as I said earlier, not from IT background, or someone with like Meghna with a career break, or someone who has no IT or coding knowledge. And as I said earlier as well, I have no coding. In fact, the last part of today's session, I'm going to talk about how now You don't even have to write a single piece of code. Just tell the AI tool, just a simple English, it'll do it all the work for you. That's what we're going to talk about towards the end as well. Also like Shovik, not only just a junior positions, but also a senior leadership positions like Shovik, Bank of America, working as a senior architect, enterprise architect as well. Or someone like Winifred, working on all you're looking for is a higher paid job in DevOps, containers, Kubernetes, which we'll be talking about as well. So just not 1, 2, 3, but thousands and thousands of individuals like you. In fact, 45,000 individuals, which we'll be talking about towards the end. So my promise is hopefully now you're getting, especially those who attended day 1 and day 2, and by end of today, you will have full clarity on how to get a high paying job in DevOps, MLOps, AI Ops, today's session on cloud, even as a beginner. So we'll talk about some of the services as well. And now for a handpick of selective guys, we're going to pick most 5 guys. We have already fully booked down now. We had a session on day 1 and day 2. January till January 2025 is fully booked. We'll be opening up for February batch 5 individuals on working one-on-one with me. We'll be talking about that a little bit later, where you'll be working very closely one-on-one with me on a personalized map. This is not for everyone. So majority of you guys who are here may not be even applicable for you. But if it's right for you, we'll give you an option to work closely with 5 seats application only, which you have to submit an application to see whether you qualify for that or not. This is not free. This is a investment required, but we'll talk about, as I said, is majority of you guys are not fit for this kind of a program, but we'll give you an option to see whether just to see where do you stand on this line as well. So with that, let's focus on this workshop. Let's make it interactive and ask as many questions as you can on this to make sure that the Fridays you're spending with me is well spent. And after probably around 90 minutes or whatever time it takes, roughly around 90 minutes, you say that it's a time well spent as well. So with that, just promise me that you're going to be attentive here and focusing on this. Just say that P for promise, saying that you're 100% focused, because we're going to go a little bit fast here now from here. Okay, great. Melina, Ruben. Just 2 of them 60s, not good. Yeah, Sandeep, good. Couple of more, yes. Samil, yes. Now I started getting, that's like it. Brilliant. Is there any recording available? Yes, recording will be available, Adil. But guys, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that we are winning. If you're asking the interesting questions, there'll be 1 winner we are picking from each. So there are 2 winners. Today also we are going to announce a winner for asking intelligent, good questions, and we'll be picking, my team is picking those based on the quality of the questions that we are doing. Brilliant. Okay, with that, I always say with learning, why to learn a particular topic, whether you're learning for multi-cloud, whether you're looking for AI, machine learning, data science, whatever you do, always begin with why. So this is what I mentioned earlier. Those of you missed, this is a very high-level DevOps lifecycle that becomes. Business analyst, someone from a business will write a story and say, I have this business requirement. They will talk to the business people, understand the requirement, and will write some requirement, which will be given and understood by architects or solution architect, developers, whatever. They will, based on that, they will write the code. So developer will write the code using tools like maybe developer tools, and that tools or that code will go into code repository. From their code repository, some tool will compile that code, and then we'll create a deployable unit, which could be in the form of a image that can be deployed on containers. And some of these terminology which I'm talking about, if you don't understand, don't worry, make a note of it and ask me if you're still not clear after the session, because by end of the session, you will have full clarity on those concepts I'm talking. If I go fast, stop me. If I'm going, fast or slow, highlight that, and my team will stop me and will interrupt me and tell me about this. I'm going fast or slow. Okay, so you create a deployable unit like maybe image, which can be deployed in a containers or Kubernetes, or it could be a WAR file, application, ER file, enterprise archive file, ZAR file, or any machine learning model that can deploy and so on. That can be, this whole process can be automated using CI/CD pipeline, or using maybe AWS code pipeline, Microsoft Azure pipeline, Jenkins, GitOps, a lot of tools are there, Circle CI, Bamboo, and so on, and is ready to deploy. On the other hand, operations guys, someone from an operations team, they will be going and picking up automation tool, maybe manually, command line, whatever, using tools like Terraform, CloudFormation, ARM templates, Azure, build a underlying infrastructure on which that application will be deployed. That could be virtual machine, that could be containers, that could be Kubernetes, that could be a platform as a service, and so on. And these are multiple type of environments, test, drive, and prod, and so on. On the other side, test engineers will come and test it. There'll be solution architect. All those things will go on a day-to-day operations. This is the whole DevOps lifecycle. So your developers, your administrators, your operations, testers, QA, whole person who's managing this team and so on. There are different type of roles. This is a whole DevOps cycle. This is what we're going to cover and look at that. So if you look at this whole DevOps, there's a huge growth because of the DevOps, the benefits DevOps bring. So in 2022, it's since 2022 to 2032, it's going to grow. Like if you look at the numbers, it's growing from 8 billion to around 70 billion, which is a 400% growth that you'll see, and it's going to grow. It has grown from 2011-12 when I started working on that, and it's further growing because of the benefits DevOps bring. Also, as you probably know, I don't have to repeat this. A lot of you guys already know, but DevOps jobs, anytime you do, you will see the DevOps jobs. And I'm going to show you a little second part. Just type DevOps and you will see the jobs available, whether it's US, UK, Middle East, India, wherever you're from, you will see the job opportunities as well. Now, with that, we've also shown on day 1 and day 2, the cloud is growing exponentially. It's going to 2,200 or $2,300 billion by 2032. And why I'm talking about cloud and DevOps is because there's something called as cloud native application, which means the application that's developed for the cloud, where it can be independently built for one cloud and can move without any changes to the application code or any deployment, anything which is cloud native, built for cloud first. And again, that market is growing exponentially. What that cloud native is, we're going to look at that as well. So these cloud, DevOps, cloud native applications on the rise. And just to understand what that cloud native is, if you're not familiar, those who are not coming from that background, how many are familiar with containers of Kubernetes? Put in the chat window, say yes or no. Just put in the chat window, yes or no. So code commit is not available, Sydney. You're right. Code commit is still not available. That's right. It's being outdated. For those who are not aware, we're talking about code commit. Code commit was a code repository by Git implementation on AWS Cloud. They're silently retired. AWS have silently retired that part. No, okay, somewhere not used it. Okay, no worries. I'll quickly give you a glance of. So what happened was back in 2000, when I started my career back in 2000, we were or at least I was only aware of at that time. Virtualization was not there. There was one physical hardware. You put one operating system, whether it's a Windows or Solaris, HP Unix. I worked extensively on Solaris, Sun Solaris, HP Unix, or Linux, or Windows. You put one, that's a traditional hardware deployment. 2005 came, VMware came, they revolutionized the way we built our applications or the machines. You have one hardware. On top of that hardware, you can run multiple virtual machines, maybe Windows or Linux, or multiple copies of Windows, multiple copies of a Linux, and so on. So that's a virtualization environment. 2013 came, and the Docker revolutionized the way we built application now. We built microservices. These microservices run on top of containers using a container platform. So Docker was a container platform, and you can run a small applications which can be very easy to manage, quick to create, and so on. And that Docker or that containers, you deploy hundreds and thousands of those containers on multiple machines for multiple high availability and so on. And that you see Netflix, you see Uber, you see all these apps these days use. In fact, Gmail, you see all these underlying under the hood. They run containers and Kubernetes. So containers is the underlying engine, and think of it as a kind of a platform on which you're running your container-based applications, microservices, and all these are managed through Kubernetes, which is a container orchestration tool, which is to manage them. So that's in a nutshell about containers Kubernetes. There's a huge demand since 2000, I think 11, 12, I see. 2013 onwards, 2012, 13, Docker and Kubernetes started growing, and 2018, 19, it became big and as well. So these, because of the popularity of Kubernetes and containers, every cloud vendor started implementing. You have AWS, they implemented Kubernetes on called managed Kubernetes, on AWS called managed Amazon EKS. Microsoft Azure implemented as Azure Kubernetes Service. Google implemented as Google Kubernetes Engine, and Oracle implemented as Oracle Kubernetes Engine. So this that you see cloud native, underlying under the hood, you're running a container-based applications on top of, though you can do other cloud applications as well without this, but then you might have a dependency on cloud, or you might end up doing something on cloud dependency as well. So you run a container orchestration, container tools, microservices on top of, all built using Kubernetes as underlying framework as well. And that's where you see, if you go to the job portal, you will see tons and tons of jobs on Kubernetes, on AWS, Kubernetes on Azure, and so on. AWS and Azure, you see plenty of jobs on Kubernetes as well. Now, so you will see when you go to the job portal, when you search for DevOps, you will see a lot of containers or Docker or Kubernetes, different flavor of Kubernetes, EKS or AKS or Google Kubernetes Engine, and so on. So that's another demand that you see more and more. You see other thing that we see are a cloud like automation tools like Terraform, Azure Resource Manager, ARMs, or CloudFormation, and so on, that you will see as you see more and more. Now with that, in 2000, probably 2021 onwards, you started seeing a lot of machine learning implementations. So machine learning, where you're developing, again, we'll talk about it on the second part, but where you have machine learning operations, where you do build, someone is developing the machine learning models, but you need someone to build a necessary infrastructure to manage that machine learning model, deploy them, and making sure that they're running properly. So machine learning operations, combination of DevOps, machine learning, as well as data engineering. We'll see that on the second part. So MLOps as well, you see more and more, and it's growing exponentially now, especially in last 2-3 years with ChatGPT, generative AI. Under the hood, they are running the models, machine learning models, which are pre-trained models. So companies have started developing their own models for running machine learning, and you see MLOps operations and growth as well, as we'll see. So if you see now, just to recap, what we have seen on trends changing are the DevOps growing exponentially, so are the jobs. Guys, train, please don't draw anything. Let me delete, clear all the drawing. Yeah, please. Thank you. Okay, so there is a DevOps growing. Then there is a cloud and cloud native applications growth. And then we also notice that machine learning and MLOps growth, all this combined together is why I think you should be doing. I've been working on this, and I know it's going to grow from here, but you need to be, just alone DevOps will not be enough. You have to add MLOps, AIOps, cloud native, containers, Kubernetes, some of these advanced things as well. Now, these are some of the job roles. Maybe I want you to comment on which one you think. I've highlighted, I think, 12 of them. Maybe some of them, there's an overlap. It could be DevOps engineer, could be site reliability engineer, cloud DevOps, MLOps, DevSecOps, platform engineer. You have a data ops as well. Someone who's working extensively on data side, but operations and day-to-day management of data operations, data ops. AI ops, there's an observability who's doing monitoring, management, and diagnostic, and so on. There's an automation engineer, there's a chaos engineer, and there's an incident manager as well. These are, some might be overlap, some might be specifically, but I see with different terminologies. So let me know, put in the chat window, which one you're more keen, or which one you think want to go deeper, or you see more and more job opportunities available. Number 7 is DataOps. Brilliant, Jayad. Yeah, there's a huge demand for DataOps as well. Put in the chat window, guys. 7. Oh, a lot of 7. Wow. Krishna. MLOps, even 7. There's a lot of 7. Wow. Guys, let me know. 4 MLOps. Okay. 6 platform engineering. Yeah. Anyone else? Guys, this is a platform to interact. Okay. As I said, I'm going to be stopping in the middle. It's not a one-way show. MLOps. 3 cloud DevOps. Okay. Superb. Match now. Okay. Great. So DataOps is been great. Okay. Yeah. So these are some of the common job roles which will be helpful and popular in order for you to learn and understand as well. So just alone DevOps will not be enough. Maybe add MLOps or data ops or platform engineering a little bit, or cloud DevOps. I think I would highly recommend you to do. If you're doing just DevOps, instead of that, maybe do cloud DevOps. And that's what we do learning here today. So if you look at some of the jobs, I've combined DevOps, MLOps, and maybe later I'll record something more for a DataOps as well. But the concepts will remain same, especially what you do for MLOps. So if you look at Zoom, some of the job roles that you will see, and there will be overlap that you see, and is, for example, there is a site reliability engineer, DevOps engineer, Docker, Kubernetes, configuration management, CI/CD, Git, Argo CD, Jenkins, AWS, GCP, Terraform, DevOps engineering, CI/CD, logging, monitoring. You have another one here for Azure DevOps with also MLOps. So they're looking for both roles, Azure, DevOps, MLOps. If you look at the responsibilities, DevOps, MLOps. They're also looking for application gateway, load balancer. So they're looking something on a cloud point as well, Kubernetes, MLflow. MLflow is another machine learning like Kubeflow. There's a machine learning MLOps tool. Then you have Azure ML itself has machine learning MLOps tools as well. Git, Jenkins, CI/CD pipeline. Similarly, you have for McAfee. Again, this is for US. And so look at the pattern. You will see some of the common things that you should be learning and you should be preparing yourself if you really want to make it big in 2025. Similarly, that you have in PwC Canada, you have AWS, Azure, containerizations, Kubernetes, Git, a public cloud, Kubernetes, Helm, Prometheus, these ones. Again, another one here, which you see from AWS itself, AWS DevOps here. So if you see CI/CD, cloud native, infrastructure as a code, cloud formation, which is automation. We'll look at some of these things. Same thing with which you see in Canada, TCS, where they have GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab. These are all SCM, source code management. The developers develop their code on where this code, source code management goes and so on. If you look at the bottom, you have Azure DevOps, Kubernetes, AWS, Kubernetes, and so on. Same thing with you see in India. You see all types of different jobs, all from different salaries and different ranges as well. So if you read between in the job description, you will see tons of things for you to know and understand what you think you should be learning and so on. Now, this is a job description which we saw on, I think, on day 2. How to prepare for a job which comes as a Azure Kubernetes service. If you're not done, highly recommend you to watch that on day 2. How many of you guys attended day 2? Just type yes or no, put in the chat window. You attended day 2, yes or no. Let me pick a question and saying, when applying for job, what should be looking for as to what we align learning on the e-job? So Adil, you will always have, I'm going to show it to you in a minute. I'm going to cover your examples on what you need to do and how to do search for. Just search for DevOps and whatever fits to you closest to the job role, you pick that first and keep adding more and more. I'll give you an example of that. So how many of you attended DevOps? No. Okay, some of yes, mix, but no. Make sure you watch day 2 where I've mentioned how to apply, what to prepare. I'm going to do the same thing today, but I'm going to do in the context of AWS DevOps this time, or AWS Kubernetes that you will see in a minute. Now, when I say all these jobs are available, there are jobs available in DevOps, MLOps across US, Canada, UK, India, wherever you see, and good money, 700, 750, 60, 90K, 110K. In UK, I'm talking about pretty good damn salary. And I know a lot of guys are earning 700, 800 pound a day, 900. I know because a lot of my friends whom I know internally, a lot of them are on 900, 1,000, 1,100 and so on that rate. So there are good salaries, but I say there are jobs and there are jobs. I say this and I hear these stories. Yes, there are jobs, but I'm not getting interview calls. Or hey, I'm attending the interviews, but no job offers. Or I have a gap or career. So I want you to list down which one of you, and if you've done this exercise in the past, I want you to write it down again, because that way you're going to first identify where the blockers are, where the myths are, what's stopping you in getting the result. And if you've done it on day 1, day 2, or day 2, I did this exercise on day 2, do it again so that I can ask and go a little bit deeper into. So we'll take a minute while I take a sip of water and write down me, 1, 2, 3, whatever numbers you're doing, so I can understand and go deeper into these ones. So I'm not sure, 11. Okay, great. Shoaib Sarang is saying 11, saying I'm highly paid on my current job. Will I be starting from 0? Let me tell you a story on that part. If anyone else is thinking on me 11 on here. Okay. So 11 I'll talk about, and then we'll talk about Shashank, especially Shashank and Shoaib. So I was working in on, I think it was 600, 700 pounds a day in by 2011, 12, or maybe around that, or maybe 700. I don't exactly remember. But from my 2000, I think it might be 8 or 9, I was on a pretty good rate. 600 in excess of, definitely in excess of 600 pounds a day. And I was thinking, oh, I don't need to learn anything. I'm at the top. Will I be starting from zero, or I have to learn a lot? Let me stay on that rate. I'm quite happy, and no one can beat me. Or I was quite a little bit arrogant, became arrogant, or say some things. And after 2 or 3 years in 2011, 12, when I was looking, the work I was doing, that started drying up. And because most of these things were taken over by the cloud, by a lot of companies that started working on AWS started growing up, and DevOps started picking up, and I had no knowledge about DevOps. I had no knowledge about cloud. And that's when I realized that, hey, I made a mistake I stopped learning on that between 2008 till 2011. I did not learn anything new. I was quite happy where I was. So first of all, when you're starting, you're not starting from zero. You'll be leveraging your existing knowledge, but look at and go what you need to learn with the latest new things that you should be learning. So never ever think, or at least don't make mistakes, which I did. And since then, I've never stopped learning. Every year I learn something or new. That's number one for those who said 11. Okay, the couple of guys who said 7 and 8, I don't know what to learn. We are going to cover that today, Mohan, and then go through day 1 to day 0 to all the day 1, 2, 3, and that will give you much more clarity. Now, Mohan, second thing is for those who said I don't feel confident. Confidence will come by taking action. The clarity and the confidence will come by doing action and by failing fast. So pay the special attention on the second part of this, which I'll highlight you. And you fail fast. You go and face the situation, and you will learn on that journey. The confidence will not happen overnight. It will be constant learning. And then as you go more and more, face those challenges, you will learn and understand as well. Number 3, Krishna, who have a gap in your career. I'm going to talk about Raj Lakshmi, and I'm also going to talk about Meghna, who had a gap. I think we'll talk about for the gaps. Remind me, Shahid, or a little bit after this for the gap, because I don't. Oh, there are 2 gaps. One, Jed, if you have gaps, I'll cover that. Number 1, we're going to talk about Piyush, why you're not getting interview calls, and especially those who are or with a gap or not confident. Number 7, all those things I'm going to cover. Pay special attention, what you should be doing around as well. Number 6 is I don't know what will be able to. So that's again confidence. Same. You probably, Victor, pay special attention. All those who are not confident and so on. Because now, by the way, there's no shame in accepting that. I've been out of these all 12. I've gone through myself all these 12. One I'm not is about it. Maybe number 9. I never felt I'm too old to do this. But rest all I've faced myself and different. And sometimes it comes to me as well. Sometimes I feel nervous as well. So there's nothing wrong in not feeling confident. I'm not 100% all the time confident. But if I'm not, I try to learn and maybe do some hands-on lab, which we're going to cover that in a minute. Now, so first of all, for those who are, I think it's only a handful of, which I've mentioned, applied for the job, not getting. If you are one of them, or maybe when you start applying and you're not getting interview calls, I'll explain you what you might be doing. And I'll go quick because I covered on day 2. But I'm going to, especially for those who are coming new here, first of all, what you're doing is you're doing the same resume for different job roles. Make sure the first page of the job description, of the resume should be as per the job description. Change that. Don't lie anything, but write as much as you can closer to the job description on the first page. And then do some hands-on lab, which I'm going to talk about in this class today, and write down all those things. Or at least if you've not done it, promise yourself that you're going to do that in next probably 3, 4, 5 days, and then update in your resume. So never ever send same resume for different jobs. Always modify the first page as per the job description. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is never add unrelated skills. Only write what's relevant as per the job. You might know a lot of things. Remove all those things. Focus as per the job description, which might need it now or in next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But remove something which we are going to never use on that particular role. Maybe you can add them later, but not for the interview, not for that particular role. Number 3 is that you should be having a ATS compliant resume. How to do it? Some of you guys already part of the program in my programs. Make sure that you leverage and verify with us that resume is ATS compliant resume or not. You can go to some services to check it, but those are part of our members in our program. Make sure that you get verified that resume is ATS compliant. You send it to us and we'll verify for you on ATS compliant. That's third one. And fourth one is LinkedIn should be optimized. LinkedIn should talk about the jobs or the skills should have what you're applying for. So if you're applying for DevOps, make sure you write something about DevOps in your resume for sure. So in your LinkedIn profile. Also, there are 13-point checklists. We'll go towards end about how to write about them or how to focus so LinkedIn is not optimized. Okay. And another one is that even if you send your resume, you're not reaching out to the recruiter. Make it a habit of, let's suppose this is what I was talking about on day 2 as well. So you identify this job, you found out Steve, go to and search on LinkedIn who Steve is from the same company or not. So SR2, Steve from SR2, you go there, search for this person, reach out to him, ask ChatGPT and say, hey, give me a right introduction message on LinkedIn for so-and-so person, and then send that and reach out to them, at least 1 or 2% every day. Now, if you follow all these 4 things or 5 things which I said, one is different resume as per the job description, removing the unrelated skills and adding only the things that are relevant on the job description, on the resume, making a ATS compliant resume, and then LinkedIn optimized, and then contacting recruiters, and over a period of time, you will have 10, 15, 20, and they will start noticing you. All these things you do, I can guarantee you will start getting interview calls for sure. Not only interview calls, if you follow the second part, which I'm going to talk in a minute, and we'll show you how to prepare for those jobs. Not only you'll get interview calls, but you'll get interview for sure job if you have the right skills and if you focus what I'm telling you. Just like Joby. Again, I said, I keep sharing these inspiring stories because when I say just to you, so you'll get it, you will now not believe. But if you see someone who has done it, you believe more than me telling you. If someone who has achieved themselves, they're telling you that it's possible, you probably will believe because they've done it. You know, I've done it myself. But then sometime when I say I've done it, people think, oh, I'm different. I'm not at all different. I'm exactly like you, but it just never. Most of you guys are here. I was in a situation like you just a few years back. I never thought it's possible for me myself as well. So that's why I'm saying, so these are important for you to focus as well, to look at as well. So that's number 1. But if you have done, and if you, let's start getting interview calls. There might be second challenge is that if you do, all you need to do is you don't need to learn, just prepare the resume as per the job description, and LinkedIn, even without knowing, you will start getting interview calls as long as the resume is good, as long as your LinkedIn is good. But that won't be, you won't be able to clear the interview. You will get interview call, but you will not be able to clear interview. How to do clear interview, which I'll explain you the next part. Is it all? Are you still with me on this point? Just put the chat window. Are you still with me, guys, on this? Yes. Okay. Mohan, is it still with me? Yes. Great. So this is the second part, is that what we have tried or so far trying, again, I repeated some of these things because sometimes I have to reiterate multiple times because for me myself, I've realized that, hey, I need to learn something. I have to listen maybe 2 or 3 times because I don't believe in first time. And I see repeatedly, I see the patterns, I see someone doing, I realize. So traditionally what we were doing is, old method is, I want to learn something. I keep learning. I prepare for the certification. I do this, I do that. And I go for interview and realize that, oh, in the job, they're asking totally different thing. What I've learned is all bookish knowledge. What I've done is something theoretical. I've never done hands-on, or I've done very minimal hands-on. I've not learned in a realistic manner. So I spent probably 3, 4, 5, 6 months doing all sort of different certifications, not learning what is actually, or not getting quick feedback. And that's an old style of working or learning. New style is that you apply as you learn and apply for the job, fail, go for the interview and fail, and then you identify where the gaps are and keep reiterating that. And I'll explain you in a minute what I mean by that. So the new method which you should be following and going forward you should be doing is look at what kind of a jobs you want to do, apply for the job, learn for what's required on the job, and then you will fail on first interview. You will fail in second interview. You will fail in third interview. Go with the expectation you're going to fail. And you are not doing it to clear. You're doing it to identify what is required on the job, where the gaps are, and you focus on those. And that's when maybe by fifth or sixth interview, you will start having a little bit of confidence, not fully, little bit. And then go keep doing it. Maybe you do it 10 or 12 times, you will see, and I can guarantee you will get a job much quicker than someone who is keep learning, much quicker than them and much better. I'll explain you how. So as they say, I truly believe in imperfect action. People believe or think that, oh, I don't know. And I train probably every month hundreds and hundreds of individuals like you. And what I've noticed is that they keep learning. Oh, I don't know enough. That enough will never happen. I've been learning this 24 years. Trust me, till date, I don't know everything in cloud. I don't know everything in DevOps. I don't know everything in AI machine learning. No one can know. But as long as you take actions and imperfect and keep applying. So I'll give you an example how when I go for jobs, how I get jobs quickly. What I do to, let's suppose I have to learn a new skill, what I'm going to do as well. Okay, so are you still with me on this? This is what we're going to focus, and this is what you should be doing, especially those who said I'm not confident, those who are not up or who are not getting interview calls, not getting jobs. This is what you should be doing. Are you still with me on this point, please? This is important. This is the main part of this. If you don't learn anything and just do this, you will learn and understand a ton of things. So let's pick a job. So first of all, you go to the job portal, and just as long as you know the basic terminology, for example, we identify DevOps. Now within DevOps, I know that Kubernetes is hugely popular. So I'll just go and search for DevOps engineer, and I'll look at, and this is a job description. I go and search here and say DevOps. I saw what they're asking. They're asking CI/CD on AWS. They're asking about Terraform. They're asking about Kubernetes. They're asking about reliability, scalability on AWS and Kubernetes. Now, all, if I've understood it correctly, they're asking 3-4 things: DevOps on AWS. They're asking about Terraform. They're asking about Kubernetes and Kubernetes implementation on AWS. So I know now 4 or 5 things I need to learn. I need to learn DevOps on AWS. I need to learn Kubernetes. I need to learn Terraform. All this in the context of AWS cloud. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first understand what is it, because the first thing, if you see, they're asking about CI/CD pipelines. So I'm going to go and search for what is CI/CD pipeline. Again, you don't need to search. I'm saying if you don't have any help, if you can't do, if you work with me, we are going to give you this handheld, all heavy lifting. But I'm saying if you don't have any support, what you will be doing. And this is how I did it initially in my career. So you go and learn this whole CI/CD. So where you do plan, code, build, test, release, deploy, operate using AWS tools, which are going to cover. I think I covered on day 1 of this. So you do continuous integration. There is something called as code pipeline, and someone rightly said code commit is outdated now. But code pipeline, Git implementation on AWS cloud. So you within AWS DevOps pipeline, you can integrate with third-party code repository. So you have code pipeline, and then you have other monitoring and management tools. So learn these tools and do a hands-on lab which does your end-to-end CI/CD pipeline. Will explain you. So do that first part. Now, so in that, what is code pipeline? You understand the code pipeline, which is nothing but one automation where right from using the AWS DevOps tools itself, I can have something which will pick up the code into a source file, pick up the source file, create a build, and that a deployable unit, I can hook in with my testing, which could be testing within AWS, or maybe integrate with third-party like SonarQube or any Selenium or any other third-party tools for testing purpose. I deploy in a staging environment. From there, someone will test it and then promote it to staging, pre-prod, prod environment, and so on. The automation of through automatically I do, and do one hands-on lab doing this end-to-end code pipeline. So do one thing. Now, I can also make sure you do one iteration of deployment using this AWS code pipeline end-to-end. That's how I'm going to learn, get the confidence. So how? I'm going to pick up this code. So typical example is you create an environment, you do a blue-green deployment. You can do it within AWS quite very easily. And you create 2 environments. One is blue, exact replica as green. And then using tool, you build maybe an application, quite simple and easy to follow and do. And do one end-to-end deployment on using this pipeline or this whole thing deployment. And once you do, you will be able to at least know and talk enough, give you confidence to talk in the interview. If you do one iteration of that, that's how you do. And in actual world as well, you do and implement. That's one part of that CI/CD. Okay, that's one part. Now, if I go and look at the second part of this, they're also talking about AWS tools like Terraform. Now, Terraform is an open source tool, but corresponding to Terraform, similar within AWS, there's something called as CloudFormation, which is automating the infrastructure build, which means I'm to build any virtual machine or network or storage or Kubernetes, anything, I automate that using a tool called AWS CloudFormation, which is specific to AWS. So make sure you do 1 or 2 lab of AWS CloudFormation. Then also, because they're talking about Terraform, do 1 or 2 lab about Terraform. Terraform is nothing but infrastructure automation. It can be done for AWS or Azure or Google or any cloud or on-premise, anything that it can do for provisioning. So maybe create a machines or create a network storage machines using Terraform. Now, what's not there I think in the job description doesn't talk about Ansible, but if I'm going above and beyond, I might learn if I want to do Ansible as well, which is a configuration management, which is on top of that configuration, on top of that. So I do this particular thing. Then I'm going to do one end-to-end. Once I know this, I maybe deploy a Kubernetes cluster on AWS, which is EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service. Now, you can trust me, you can do it in probably couple of days, maybe 1 day, 2 days. If you have everything laid down to you, given to you, you can learn that very, very quickly. So what I'm going to do, I'm creating a Kubernetes cluster across different availability zones. You want to set it up in a highly available environment. Set up, do one hands-on lab about Kubernetes cluster. So what happens typically in Kubernetes cluster? On here, I'll explain you. I'll go high level, but if you want to go deeper, let me know. Towards and we're going to cover this and can go deeper on these topics if you want. So I'm creating a something called as application deployed. So developer will go and create. I was talking about an image, which is a deployable unit, which will go in an image into a container registry. From that container registry, it will go and deploy that into a Kubernetes cluster. My infrastructure guy, you as a DevOps engineer would have already created a Kubernetes cluster on AWS. You can do it from command line. You can do from Terraform. You can do from CloudFormation. You can do from a console. You can do all of them. So then learn how to deploy an application on a Kubernetes cluster using AWS Kubernetes cluster from this. Now, once you do, you will have much more clarity about Kubernetes, creating a Kubernetes cluster. You can do all of this, which I mentioned, and then go one step further, and do it using CI/CD, which means using the AWS pipeline on deploying. So this is a Kubernetes cluster which I've created, and these are various application, or you can say underlying containers on top of Kubernetes doesn't understand the concept of container. They understand the concept of pod, which is a collection of one or more containers. Or think of it as like just with my application running. So I'm using the CI/CD. I'm going and publishing an application on AWS Cloud, and this is on a high level understood this. So I've known now. Just to do a quick recap, I've first understood what is CI/CD on AWS. I've done a standard, simple AWS CI/CD on AWS. Then I've done a blue-green deployment, maybe through a console, and next time through this code, through an automation which I've done. I've also deployed or provisioned using CloudFormation or Terraform, and then created this Kubernetes cluster using command line or through console, and then maybe later part through Terraform and so on, and then do one iteration of CI/CD, and then also look at and do some security. Again, you don't need to go deeper into for first round. You understand the security in terms of security on the basic cloud level, cluster level, container level, and code level. And so in order for you to do all these things, what you do is you create a free account. Now you can go and anyone can go and create a free account in AWS. You create a container registry, which is this registry here, so that I can deploy my application, or I can bring my images, a test application, bring it here. From there, I'm going to go and do one more thing. You create a Kubernetes cluster, which is Kubernetes cluster. I can do through multiple ways. So create a Kubernetes cluster. Then you deploy the application. You bought it here, so you've created a cluster. You deploy this application you bring that application from container registry and deploy it here. Now I can do some more advanced things. which is configure auto scaling, configure storage, networking. These are some of the things which will set you apart from someone else. And do this, and probably around maybe 7 days or 10 days, you should be able to learn all these things. And that is what will give you the confidence. Now you've done it for one job. Next time you will go do, and for similar type of job, you will be much more comfortable. And of course, so once you've done and do the hands-on lab, that's when you start getting the confidence on. So there's some advanced labs as well. If you want to go deeper, which is networking, which is about storage, which is about application load balancers and so on testing. And then you do as maybe a little bit of monitoring using CI/CD pipeline, some of these hands-on lab related to the job. And then do a project, maybe one project about deploying application using Argo CD. If you want to take it a little bit further down. So Argo CD, which we'll cover in the second part, and then maybe use Terraform. So do one end-to-end implementation of that. And then you go and prepare resume based on all those things. Now, some of guys might think or might be thinking, oh, but by the way, they ask you to apply for the job. So apply with all these jobs, and then while you've written down, write down all those things. So you say that I'm going to perform these things, write down all these things in your resume, and then prepare. While you're preparing, while you've sent your resume, if your resume is written well-crafted resume, you'll get a sure shot interview call. And while you are between the actual interview and you prepare and do all those hands-on labs, and you'll be very nervous. And trust me, first time when I did that, you'll be very nervous. So I'll be able to achieve or not. Objective is not to do 100%. Objective is to know enough so that you take one step and you will fail on that interview. Repeat the same step for the second job and third job, and by the fourth or fifth job, you will have much more confidence. So you prepare the resume, which is focused on this, and then prepare for the interview. So what you could do, interview specific to this particular job description. Now, in our platform, we give you on saying, based on the job description, what kind of interviews you can expect. So there'll be some questions will always be there, like tell us about yourself. Technical questions will be asking in the context of interview. For example, how would you design a CI/CD pipeline? Or how would you manage and scale an application in Kubernetes cluster? Or how would you use a Terraform? Or tell me a scenario where you used, or what kind of a problems you have encountered while deploying or using Terraform and so on. So these will be technical questions, there'll be general questions, there'll be behavioral questions, and a scenario-based question. Scenario-based question is, let's suppose you're deploying a highly available AWS, how would you approach on deploying a highly available things? So prepare for these interview questions on this, and do multiple mock interviews. And now you repeat this once, twice, thrice, and maybe fourth or fifth time, you'll start getting confidence. Now, I know I've said a lot of this. How many of you believe that if you do this and you did repeat 2, 3, 4 times, you'll start getting interview calls, or you'll start getting confidence, and by the time 8th or 10th attempt, you will get interview calls, or sorry, you will get a job. Put the chat window, yes or no. And for those who are not, I'm going to give you some examples of yes, thanks, believe. So this is how you get confidence. All those guys who said, oh, I don't have a confidence, this is how confidence will come. Confidence will not come by thinking. Confidence will come by actually implementing, taking actions. And this is what exactly Vaishali did. I have tons and tons of guys on. I've landed my job, desired job within 30 days on. So you keep repeating these things, and when you do these things, a couple of things will happen. First of all, you will not get a clarity on what kind of a jobs are coming in the market. In cloud, in DevOps, in AI, machine learning, all those skills, there's a lot to learn, but you don't have to learn all of them, at least for the job, and then you can learn on the job part. Okay, so this is another one. This is what I say. Asma got a job in Dubai, secured a job in Dubai. Another one, Dinesh, I mentioned about, got a program manager on cloud, and so on and so on and so on. I can go on and on and on. So, okay? So this is on a high level, which we're talking about. First part of this on about how to get a job if you want to learn job quickly. This is a quick shortcut method. Now, this is important for someone who doesn't have a job or want to get a job on the job ladder. This is what I would do. Okay, but then also we're going to learn strategically as well, because we're looking at both short term and a long term. This is just to get on the job, but you have to learn thoroughly and sincerely. So, so how to look for how to learn on strategically while once you're learning, once you're doing this, and then on what order we should be doing. So this is a 3-step framework which you teach or go and cover. One is mastering the DevOps and MLOps and AI Ops with some project based. Do the resume, LinkedIn, and then mock interviews and multiple mock interviews. So this is what you're going to look at now. First part is about this is how you're going to begin. I'll take a sip of water and say, just put in the chat window saying that which number, just put in the number out of these, which one you're most keen about. Which one out of these 15? There are more. I'm just giving you this is the basic level of DevOps. Adil is saying, while doing the lab, I myself these steps, but I feel that I'm not fully understanding why the step is being done necessary and how will they translate my job? What should I be asking myself? Okay, brilliant. So the question is, Adil is a very good question. While doing the labs, I find myself doing the steps, but I feel that I'm not fully understanding why these steps are. Now, Adil, this is where unfortunately you have to have a mentor or coach. If you're part of a program, asking in our WhatsApp group, every step, if you're not clear, our lab should be crystal clear on saying why I'm doing that particular step. What is the importance of that? What's happening in the background? You should always ask why. If you're part of a program, ask in our program and team. There should already be a lot of comments. There's also a lot of notes with each step. If you can't find, just let us know. We'll update or ask in our WhatsApp group, Adil. Brilliant. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, brilliant. All of them. Okay, I'm going to cover. This is Shoaib. I'm going to cover all these things as well in a minute. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so first of all, as I said, this is the path I took. And so first of all, you always begin with, if you're complete new, begin with DevOps for beginners. And what you do for DevOps beginners is you understand the DevOps methodology, principle, basics. This is very important. So you understand this when I say, what is DevOps? Why we are doing DevOps? What are the basic principles? What are the roles and responsibilities in DevOps? What are the DevOps culture look like? What is different characteristics of a DevOps properties, like there's a rugged DevOps, there's the DevSecOps, DevChatOps, there's the MLOps, AIOps, those things are coming, we're adding. What are the different frameworks, Agile, Scrum, Lean, Safe, and so on? And then what are the different practices, RACI method, RCA method, and best practices on DevOps? What is CI and CD, very, very important. How do you adapt DevOps? These are all theoretical concepts, because if you don't understand what we're doing and why we're doing, it becomes a little bit challenging later part. So these are all foundation. As I said, DevOps is all about frameworks and teams and collaborations and so on. I learned it in a hard manner. So that you understand, and you can give a very simple exam, which is very easy in my view, compared to if you don't spend more than a couple of days to learn and understand. This will give you the timelines as well. Now we give you hundreds and hundreds of sample exam questions so that you can clear this and understand this quite easy in my view. Don't spend more than a week or 10 days max to understand these basics. I think a couple of days are fine. And we have tons of guys who have done these certifications, so you'll be able to clear the certification part easily. These are some of the guys who've done it. Rahul from, I think, Australia, Arun from US, Archana from 4/7, I think Europe somewhere, Venki from US, and so on. They'll be doing this. So once you've done the cloud, always do for cloud for beginners. Understand if you're new to cloud, do cloud in my view. And again, we'll understand the cloud, why it's important, but important is about cloud service model. There's something called the SaaS PaaS IaaS, and then cloud deployment model, which is public private hybrid. Also look about multi-cloud. What is multi-cloud? Why we are needing it? Why companies are implementing that? So this is a very basic. And then go for these 4 cloud: AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle. I'm just going to show it to you one of them. Those were part of program already. You probably should already have. If not, ask my team. And they will help you on this. So I'll give you one, maybe AWS or Azure. And then, so if you come here inside the program, classroom, and pick up, I'll just take an example of AWS just here. Okay, so understand all the basic services of AWS. You're not going deeper. We are going 30,000 foot view on AWS. Create a free account and play with all the different type of AWS services which I've covered on day 1. Similarly, do this for Azure, basic services. But then do and create some basic, very basic, beginner-friendly hands-on, which is enough for you to create and play with AWS Cloud or Azure Cloud and so on. So go and do these AWS Cloud, Azure Cloud. 2 are enough. If companies are looking for Google Cloud, maybe do Google Cloud. If companies are looking for Oracle Cloud, do Oracle Cloud as well. But just one or two are enough to begin with, first of all, to Cloud for beginners. And then make sure if you're actually doing hands-on, there are two types of roles in DevOps as well. There's one who is managing the teams and becoming a little bit senior, or someone who is actually doing the work. And if you're one of those doing the work, maybe a Linux for beginners is also important. And again, Linux for beginners, keep it very, very basic. All we need to do is just create a machine, and we're doing VI editor and just using a VI editor. We'll go on advanced part, but later. For now, we are giving on a very basic things on VI and CP and basic commands of Linux commands that you do. Okay, once you've done that, then begin. So these are all basic fundamentals. Begin with then Git, which is a code and code repository. Again, we are not going deeper into these things. We are knowing enough. Unless you're a developer. If you're a developer, then go more on Git. If you already know, if you're doing coding or programming, go for Git. So here I'll be playing with a Visual Studio Code, and Git, I'll be pushing and pulling my changes using CI/CD tool as Jenkins, and then I'm creating a Docker images and containers on here. So this is what I'm playing and creating Git and Jenkins. So make sure you feel yourself comfortable with Git and Jenkins. So just someone is asking about timeline. So this is maybe 2 or 3 days are more than enough for basic DevOps. 1 or 2 days are enough for Linux, basic Linux. Again, as I said, objective for now, first attempt is not to, spend months and months on these things. Spend enough so that you can ready and write in your resume about these topics. Then we'll go and do Git and GitHub, some hands-on lab about Git and Jenkins, and create a Jenkins related hands-on lab. Are you still with me? Am I making sense so far? Are you still with me? Software engineer is Hemanta. Okay, we'll cover these questions in a minute. Okay, there is someone I think someone is asking about, would you recommend to be watching DevOps Foundation from your website before one-to-one coaching? Yes, it's nice to have, doesn't need to be watching. If you come watch and before coming to the class, that will be helpful. You don't need to, it's always helpful and recommended for you. Brilliant. Will Edwin, no, these are two different things. Edwin will talk about that a bit later. Okay, so this is fine. Let's move on now here. This is one I've done till here, which is day 6. I'm still on a 6th day. Then I'm going to go and look and learn Docker and Kubernetes. Some of you guys are asking about Docker and Kubernetes. So this is where pay special attention. Now, Docker, I mentioned about your container runtime, where you're running multiple containers scattered across multiple machines. So I have this machine, I'm doing multiple containers. I'm all managing through a container orchestration tool, which is Kubernetes. So make sure you understand Kubernetes. Within Kubernetes, you set up a Kubernetes cluster there's a master node and there's a worker node. Worker node is where I'm deploying my applications, and master node is for managing this cluster. So, and on that, you deploy applications. Again, you can do it on AWS Cloud, you can do it in Azure Cloud, you can do Azure Kubernetes, you can deploy standalone. There are a lot of combinations that you can come. So make sure you do spend, again, we're keeping it high level to begin with. Later, we're going to go deeper. Enough for you to set up the Kubernetes cluster. So maybe create a Kubernetes cluster, deploy the application on this. Same thing with Docker, set up the Docker container, create some Docker applications and so on, enough to begin with, and do some hands-on lab. We're keeping it high level for now on this. Then we're going to do one more, which is Ansible, which is a configuration management tool using something called the Ansible playbook. Do 1 or 2 labs about Ansible, which is a configuration management tool where you install Ansible controller, master node, target node, and do some configurations on the machine, enough for you so that you can know and understand these labs, okay, on Ansible. Now, once that's done, this is good enough for you on a on-premise world, on a generic world. And now there's one more thing, which is Terraform I'm going to cover. But with that, you're going to also do one Azure DevOps. Maybe pick one cloud, whether it's Azure DevOps or AWS Cloud DevOps. Or if you do both, that will be wonderful. If you do one is enough, but do Azure DevOps or AWS DevOps here. So what we're going to do is, this is a whole path about, first we are going to do on a high level enough, understand the overview, and then I'm going to talk about is go deeper into Azure DevOps. So first we'll go enough on a high level for Azure DevOps, which is 2 or 3 days, and then we're going to go deeper. So this is 2 or 3 days. Just give me 1 minute, please. Sorry guys, sorry for that. So the thing is, we are going to go and learn deeper into. Are you still guys with me? Brilliant. Let's move. Okay. So in Azure DevOps, things I will mention, I think on day 2, go and look at Azure DevOps. I've mentioned on a high level, but this is again, I will highly recommend you because of the time. I'm going to not cover this on a detail. Watch on day 2 where you learn these Azure DevOps tools to go deeper into Azure DevOps. If a job demands Azure DevOps, go and focus on. But initially, enough for you to know so that you can start applying. Do enough on this point. So do Azure board. One lab where you're setting up Azure board. From there, you're setting up Azure repo, doing an end-to-end pipeline, testing that using the test plan and artifact, developing the artifact on this. And this is another example of doing CI/CD. This is the eventual game you should be playing, which means you should be doing one lab which covers all this which I'm talking about here in a minute. Just let me explain you. So you'll be setting up an Azure board. From here, developer will write you as a developer will write a code. So if you're not playing a developer role, you probably just have a code which is pushing the code into a code repository. So we'll give you this code, you push into code repository as a DevOps engineer. That is your role will be. Or you act as a developer, you give it to developer, someone will give you the code. It will build a deployable unit. So build pipeline will go and create a deployable unit on here. From there, then the CD part, which is a release part, which will go and release, pick up this code, which is deployable code, and go and deploy it into dev environment, stage environment, test environment, QA environment. And these environments you built either using Azure Resource Manager ARM templates, Azure Biceps, or Terraform. You can decide and dictate where you want to create these. And once you've done doing one CI/CD, and once you've done all these things, maybe you can prepare for AZ400, which is Azure DevOps certification. We covered again on day 2, Azure DevOps AZ400. We covered this certification. So what you need to do in order to do the certification, you learn, these are the, again, 10-week, if you want to go deeper into Azure DevOps part. Okay, so learn a high level on DevOps. Now you come to a point on Azure and you go deeper into Azure DevOps, do this whole part on Azure DevOps, maybe another 8 to 10 weeks. Once you have either done enough for job application, or you know now that companies are looking for someone to be certified, or you want to go on that certification track. Not before that. Your first objective should be to do enough so that I can start applying. Are you still on that point with me? Because people make a mistake of go more and more on certification. I'm not against that, but if you're focused to get a job, your objective should be to do what's required on the job, because some of those things may not be even required on the job. Like, for example, DevOps transformation journey may not be required. Might be within this, implement a CI/CD pipeline and CD pipeline. These are two might be required for the job point of view. These other things are, which is nice to have an implementation part. Are you still with me on this point? Edwin, we do it slightly different. Maybe come and speak to me, my team on here. Okay, great. So now, once this is done, on within here, what you should be doing more, which is could be helping you on the job, from a job point of view in Azure DevOps, maybe create a container, Azure Container Services AKS using container registry, all those things, and do some hands-on base which are required for the job. Now, if you want to go deeper, I've given that hands-on lab and link, which you can go and perform these. Or these are actual practical job-oriented related hands-on lab which will help you on this. And then prepare some sample exam questions, sample quizzes for you to learn and understand and go deeper into from a certification focus point of view. And if you follow all these things, you'll be able to clear the AZ400 certification, which is good and nice to have. But what's more important in my view is these hands-on lab, which will help you in getting a job. So depending on your objective, if your objective is to get a job, focus on hands-on lab. If your objective is for certification, these hands-on lab will also help. But with that, you should also do the sample exam questions to understand, will help you in getting the clarity on certification. So AZ400. Again, these are the guys who cleared the certification. Ujjwal, I think from UK, Dish, Vara, Ujjwal, and so on. Okay? So you can get certifications. Now, with that, we continue with that. You've done Azure DevOps. You do Terraform, which is cloud automation. It sounds like a lot. It is indeed a lot. But then if you do it one after another. If you do it and do multiple times, it'll become much more simple and easy for you if you've done enough. Again, as I said, we are not going deeper into one. We're going enough to begin with and go deeper as we learn more and more. So go on Terraform. We'll be doing Terraform infrastructure automation tool. I've covered on day 1 and day 2. This is where we're automating open source to build my infrastructure. So what I'm doing, this is certification from Terraform, which is quite hugely popular for automating the infrastructure build, whether it's AWS, Azure, on-premise, Kubernetes, whatever you can do and so on. So this is the track again we recommend, where from a certification point of view, there are I think 7 or 8 modules which will help you to clear the certification on Terraform as I say. It's a multiple choice questions. You get it. And there is a hands-on lab, I think we recommend. It's not there, but might be doing. And maybe do a certification sample exam questions for this. Again, clearing the certification is easy, but your actual for job, you should be doing Terraform, using Terraform to build infrastructure. As well, just give me 1 more minute. Sorry, so you do the certification for Terraform, and then, but again, as I said, learn hands-on plus certification, and then go actual implementation will be build it infrastructure of it on AWS Cloud or Azure Cloud, one of them, or maybe both of them using Terraform. Where what do? You create networks, you create machines, you create a container cluster, you create underlying infrastructure on AWS Cloud or Azure Cloud or both of them, depending on how much appetite you have, how much bandwidth you have to learn on this. Also, maybe do a one end-to-end CI/CD pipeline on which I mentioned, I think, on day 2 about Azure, where you're doing using Terraform to provision the underlying infrastructure. And then I'm doing CD, my release pipeline on first picking up this application and deploying on the Microsoft Azure resources or the resources which I've created on using Terraform on Microsoft Azure Cloud. You can do, if the project demands that you're doing on Azure Cloud, do it on Azure Cloud. If you have a similar thing on AWS Cloud, you do a similar exercise, but on this time on Azure, AWS Cloud and so on. So do one iteration of that. And so if I go back onto my, let me see where I'm on my this list on this. 1 second, let me go and show it to you. Yeah, so we are here. We have done all these things till here, Ansible, and then we went into Azure DevOps, Terraform, and the final piece is AWS DevOps that we are doing on here. So if we go and work on the final part, which is about DevOps, AWS DevOps, which is 1 second, sorry. This. So here again, understand there's a certification on AWS, which is called as AWS DevOps. Again, there are if you have to go deeper into, you can go on an AWS track. From a certification point of view, it's a professional, little bit advanced certification on AWS point of view, but it's what you, if you want to do, especially about monitoring, logging, configuration management, policy, automations, high availability, disaster recovery, incident management, all those things for AWS Cloud. You can perform this. And from a job point of view, from a learning point of view, majority of time you will be doing automations, configuration management using AWS Cloud Formation tool, Beanstalk, web app, and so on. So monitoring, logging part. Also doing CI/CD and pipelines that you probably might need. Again, prepare for the certification exam questions. And these are some of the success stories for you guys to inspire. Again, do the certification part as well. So this is on a high level. If I go with the basic things, let me go back onto this chart. This is what you'll be, no, sorry, mistake. So this is what we'll be doing on here, which is about Azure DevOps, Terraform, AWS DevOps, and of course the certification of the things, which I'll talk about a little bit more advanced things, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So depending on where you want to go, begin with small and keep adding more and more these things as your jobs are demanding for you. So far with me, this is what I'm talking about is a basic DevOps which you're doing, which will help you in getting the good amount of job which are enough for you. And then we are going to do the next part or the second part about advanced DevOps. Just put it just put a word A, advanced DevOps. So I understand that you're still with me on here. Advanced DevOps, advanced DevOps, which you're going to cover. Does it matter if you use Terraform or ARM biceps? So Shashank is asking a question about, does it matter if I use Terraform or ARM, which is Azure Resource Manager or bicep? Actual provisioning doesn't matter, Shashank, but what you should be doing is what's required on the job. There are a lot of companies who are using Terraform. Some companies are using ARM bicep. So based on the job, what your companies are looking for. If you do Terraform, it will be much better compared to just ARM or bicep, because ARM or bicep you can only do with Azure, whereas Terraform you'll be doing open source. So I'll be opening much more on Terraform. I'll be much more inclined towards Terraform, doing Terraform. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so that is what I'm going to go a little bit fast on point here. We'll go because these are the more advanced things, especially if you're doing from 2020 onward, 2018, 19. I started companies. I noticed companies started using these. So what these are, you will see some of these jobs which will set you apart from other DevOps engineers. So first is Helm. Helm is nothing but the applications that you deploy on Kubernetes. You deploy as a package manager. So if you think of it as if you're working on a Windows or a Linux, you have a package manager on which will deploy applications or your underlying operating system packages as a package manager. Something similar on Kubernetes. For Kubernetes, you have a Helm chart. So entire applications, collection of applications unpackaged in a deployment format, you do it Helm. And a lot of companies are expecting now you to have that Helm knowledge. So make sure you do some hands-on lab related to Helm chart, Helm, and deploying applications using Helm and Helm chart. That's one. Now there's an Argo CD, which is nothing but a continuous delivery operations or continuous delivery on a Kubernetes-based clusters. So you have an on-premise without Kubernetes, you can use a normal CI/CD, but for Kubernetes specific Argo CD, a lot of companies are looking for that. So maybe do some hands-on lab related to Argo CD as well. So this is an advanced lab which I'm talking about. You have a Kubernetes cluster which you have deployed. Now Kubernetes cluster you can deploy using Terraform. Now again, don't jump onto day one. Understand and create this Kubernetes cluster first time using a command, using a console, AWS console. Next time you do it using command line. Third attempt you use then maybe Terraform or AWS CloudFormation. And then use Argo CD to deploy the Argo CD. First of all, artifact within the Kubernetes cluster, and then use Argo CD to deploy applications on top of this Kubernetes cluster, and so that you can, when you go for interviews, you can understand or you can talk at least in the language of what an interview is asking, and maybe do a couple of iterations, couple of hands-on lab and a project work, end-to-end project work of deploying, automating this infrastructure using CI/CD with Argo CD as well. Now, as I said, for those who are already inside the program, you have some of these things inside DevOps program that we have. Or if you're part of multi-cloud, go and look for these will be given to you. So there's a deploy application Kubernetes using Argo CD, and then infrastructure using Terraform. You can also you can say, hey, I don't want to learn Terraform right now. I already have a Kubernetes cluster deployed. I just want to use Argo CD to deploy application on top of this Kubernetes cluster. Do that one iteration, depending on what job is looking for, and so on. Then there's a Prometheus. Basically, Prometheus it collects the metrics, logging data, different type of alerts, all those things to see how system is performing, and build it and store it in a database, centralized managed database. And then you have a Grafana, which is a data visualization reporting tool. And lots of companies are using Prometheus and Grafana these days for their normal day-to-day monitoring, logging, reporting, and so on. So what you do, you have the data coming, not just, this is just I'm representing from a Kubernetes cluster, but it can be normal infrastructure as well. And data through into Prometheus system. And then on top of that, using Grafana, you're doing some reports on data visualization to see how your system are performing, and so on. So companies have built those dashboards. You can be part of that and helping and supporting those Prometheus and Grafana part as well on these. Also, there's a ELK, which is an Elastic Search, Logstash, and Kibana. These are again companies look for on the jobs. So do a implementation on a ELK stack where you're doing ELK implementation within your Kubernetes cluster, which will help you to set apart from others, a lot of others as well. So ELK stack as well. So that's pretty much on a second part of the track, which I think been working since 2019 till recently. A lot of companies will set you apart from that. And with that, we are coming on the third and final leg of this part, which is focus on 2025, which I'm going to do. and which is the final part, which I think will set you apart from AI and machine learning, especially AIOps and machine learning. And this is where going back now into day 0, when I covered AI, machine learning, and generative AI growth. It's a 1.3 trillion market, huge. Everyone that you see is implementing AI, and that is where this is about, where reliant on you're using AI tools like in Azure, you have Machine Learning Studio, or you have OpenAI for generative AI services. In AWS, you have Bedrock or SageMaker. Bedrock is for generative AI. SageMaker is for the machine learning, more deep machine learning work. And similarly, you have Vertex AI in Google Cloud. And then all these DevOps tools, MLOps tools, AI tools, AIOps tools to manage this, depending on what kind of a stack you're monitoring and managing. So this is where I see a lot of, you can set yourself apart by learning MLOps, AIOps, mainly MLOps, and so on. So this is what I'm doing, and a lot of our clients are doing as well on this to set. So what is this MLOps and AIOps? You already know DevOps. Put machine learning on front of that, which means you focus more on machine learning models. How do you, someone is developing them, but how do you deploy them? How do you manage them? All this machine learning operations. That's what, in a simple terms, machine learning is. Operations is where it's a practice. It's right from model development to the version control, whatever you were doing on a normal software development, but same thing for machine learning models. So someone will be developing the model, which is your model developer, which is mainly data scientists, guys who are working on that part. Version control, you're doing the same thing, but for machine learning models. CI/CD, monitoring data pipelines, and making sure that these are intact, governance, and so on. So that's what your role will be as a machine learning MLOps. So typically you have a dev environment, test environment, prod environment, and a software lifecycle. Same thing for machine learning as well. You have different environments where you do different type of activities depending on the phase of the project. And eventual objective is to deploy them in a production and managing and monitoring this whole machine learning workflows as well that you see. Now, within machine learning MLOps, there are different maturity model. You don't always go with fully mature MLOps. You begin with no MLOps. You are doing DevOps, but no MLOps. To then automated training, which is a concept within AI and machine learning. Where you're training automatically. When I say training, you're doing machine learning model training. And then you're doing model deployment, automated model deployment. That's a level 3 of MLOps maturity model. And then finally, you are doing fully MLOps automated operations. So depending on, you might be beginning with and say, hey, right now we don't have any MLOps, but we are just doing DevOps. You are going there and implementing that MLOps, which is automated training, or level 2 or level 3 or level 4. And then this is where you use different MLOps tools. So maybe the two common which I see, Kubeflow, which is an open source Kubernetes based MLOps tool. These are third-party open source tools. You also have MLflow, which is again lightweight open source, and these has pros and cons depending on sub companies, what company might be using based on the level and appetite of the company. But then if you're using AWS, you will have your own. AWS has its own SageMaker with its own MLOps method, or also MLOps monitoring tool system within that. Microsoft Azure has its Azure machine learning, Azure ML ops tools. Google Vertex has its own MLOps tool. But maybe like the way you use Terraform for infrastructure automation, third open source tool, you might want to say, hey, we're using Kubeflow, having machine learning on AWS and Azure or multiple environments, but we're using Kubeflow for MLOps. So good to have either Kubeflow or one of these tools, MLOps tools, to have good knowledge, and you can learn remaining things on the job. That will set you apart from others. Are you still with me, guys? Am I making sense, guys? Adil is saying, so for Azure DevOps program, I should check with the mentor and follow the steps, the DevOps Ansible at today. Is that correct? Yeah, Adil, don't worry. We'll speak to the team. They will do. That's correct. So what I'm talking about is a whole multi-cloud DevOps, this program, which we'll talk about in a minute. Is it all making sense, guys? This is, I know it's a little bit lot to take, but I'm giving you full 30,000 foot view, right from a beginner to the intermediate to the more advanced now point. So with that, we're going to look at some of this. This is a Kubernetes flow, Kubeflow, which is quite popular, which we are going deeper. And my mission on 2025 will be starting this part. Those who are part of AI and machine learning will be doing or you'll be incorporating, you'll be keeping an eye on inbox about Kubeflow as well. So you have underlying Kubernetes-based infrastructure, which could be AWS, Azure, Google, and this Kubeflow will do end-to-end monitoring right from notebooks, which is an integrated development environment. You write some code the way you do in a Visual Studio Code. You do pipelines. You do the dashboard. You have a model registry where you do all the model images which can be deployed on production dev test environment registry. And these are other things for the time, given that you may not understand. We might have some separate class in future, but this is the whole Kubeflow that you do. And on top of that, it supports machine learning libraries and frameworks, different type of libraries and frameworks. So what you can do as a MLOps engineer, you might be setting up entire Kubeflow system. You might be giving them and building Kubeflow pipelines. You might be configuring model registry and making sure that registry is secure. How do you integrate or how to connect it with your different environments, that model registry to deploy application, machine learning models, and so on. So these are the advanced things you probably might be knowing and doing. Now, this is an MLOps pipeline on Microsoft Azure Cloud, right from data pipelines. Your data engineer will build those data pipelines, which will go and fit this data into a whole entire training pipeline. So this training pipeline will be, there's a model registry, which means my machine learning model will be stored in the model registry. And then that's where I'm doing it, my training the model, testing the model, validating the model. And then I go and deploy that model in my on stage environment, dev environment, test environment. And this is where my QA engineer will be testing it. And my data scientist will be feeding and incorporating in the training pipeline, which is a machine learning training, the model training. And then finally, I deploy this on an environment which could be a ML or you can deploy these machine learning models on a Kubernetes-based system or in a virtual machine or on a whole multi-ML platform. And then you're doing integrations with like monitoring, logging, security, all those typically that you do part as a infrastructure engineer, software engineer, machine learning operations engineer. So MLOps engineer will do all of those things. Data engineer will do this part. Data scientist will do this part. QA will do this part. Maybe you can do, maybe you're playing one or two different roles, depending on. So this is the whole MLOps pipeline end to end. And then you have AIOps, which is a operations for you're incorporating big data, machine learning, all the data that's feeding up, data collections, integrations, real-time processing of the data, which is coming day-to-day operations, but through using AI. So doing all your root cause analysis, doing false alarms that you do. So it will automatically detect. There are platforms, there are systems now, companies are working, which are all maturing and so on. So this is AIOps that you see. Now with that, as I said, you learn all these things which are mentioned. With that, you do prepare resume, LinkedIn profile. Some of you guys already are part of some of things. We are going to give you these things, which is it is compliant resume. Make sure your resumes are reviewed. Make sure that you don't make the mistakes like tons and other guys are doing. Make sure you follow a 13-point checklist on LinkedIn and then review them. And then practice multiple mock interviews. So mock interviews, and I say multiple mock interviews, is technical questions, scenario-based questions, more advanced things like the STAR format when you go for job interviews. So you have to have the good technical knowledge and the practical implementation knowledge, project-based knowledge, but also there's a STAR format which a lot of these companies have started implementing now. So how do you handle a situation? And so do multiple mock interviews. And then prepare resumes. That's the mantra of hiring. That's why you see tons and tons of guys who've got results. This is the process we follow. When I crack 2 companies interviews, Simran, I've mentioned about secured a job as data analyst. And those who are working with us, a lot of you guys are already working with us, we get on-job support for 1 year. So that you can help and support in, because I think getting a job is one part, which I wouldn't say easy if you're new, but if you follow this path, it becomes easy. But the actual journey begins is when you need a support and project. So as I said, I'm going to open up a few slots, only 5 of them, but only January is fully booked with working with us on closely on this is a job accelerator program we do, which is a mentorship and coaching. I've never opened. I have a program which is done, which we opened on 12th of December. And this is the top level mastermind which we do. So picked up only 5 guys for January, and we have another 5 seats for February that we do. So first 1 week is all about triage. So first we are going to see whether we can take you based on the application that you submit. And then we're going to do a triage to see whether you're fit, what your background is, what are strengths, where you want to go and become, and then identify the skills, the gaps that you have, and you'll get a personalized roadmap for at your level. And we do this 3-part or 3-step framework to make sure that you get a job. If you're out of job, to help you get a job. And then if you are already in a job, how to earn extra 30, 40, 50,000 extra dollars within 2025. And we do it for one type of job. We help you in getting that job. And then every couple of months, you go and reiterate and reevaluate and become better and better and learn a second skill and third skill, which will help you to have the necessary skills to become best. So this is a whole 1-year program that we do. There's a 3-step framework right from learning all this. All the last 3 days which I've given, we go, this is a surface level which we've covered. Of course, I wanted to go deeper, and I'll be covering and coming in the coming weeks and months. We're going to go deeper on some of these topics, but we go and work closely with you on doing all the hands-on lab which we've highlighted, and hundreds of hands-on lab, and tons of projects which we'll do. With that, making sure you get a hand-holding on resume, support on resume and LinkedIn. And then finally, multiple mock interviews. On a weekly basis, you sit on hot seat and you say, I'm ready for interview. We'll get multiple mock interviews, multiple resumes, LinkedIn. So any of you guys are interested, this is the personalized roadmap. We run a 5-track. On 4 tracks are all technical. On a weekly basis, we run multiple mock, multiple resume preparation, job interview, LinkedIn, which goes every week that you can come. And you'll get a personalized roadmap and personalized one-to-one support as well. And that, as I said, is my promise that you'll guaranteed you will get certified and high-paying job in AI data DevOps. Again, even as a beginner and no experience, I'm going to handhold you, or at least my team and me will be handhold you on doing this. As I said, it's not for everyone. But if you're interested, we'll tell you this is whether you're fit for or not fit for. And if not, we'll tell you what is the right thing for you based on that. So if you're interested, fill this form, k2academy.com/AI cloud call. Name, email address, phone number, LinkedIn is important. Please make sure that you do, otherwise it'll be rejected, or we'll be asking you to fill the LinkedIn profile. What are the current positions you're targeting? And what do you think is stopping you in getting the result? Because most of the time for me, which I've noticed, it's not about the actual implementation or teaching you, it's doing the mindset shift. That's the most challenging task. And then what is your current salary? What is the expected salary? So to see how much we can help you in achieving what you want to achieve. And as I said, it's not free. There's an investment required, but fill it out and we'll be taking up the questions. And then if you have any questions, we'll talk about those questions as well. So k2academy.com/AI cloud call, and let my team know. There's 3 tools I'm going to take, which I'm doing this one. And looking at the time, we have 12-15 minutes as well, so I'll cover. Okay, guys, my team, if you have any questions, let me pick up the questions now, or if someone can read out the questions. Okay, Arun is saying, can MLOps also be used in a normal DevOps cycle, or it's only for machine learning? So Arun, it's for machine learning. It's mainly for life cycle of a machine learning model. So it's mainly for machine learning life cycle on. So it uses the same concepts of DevOps, but for machine learning models. How does, Arun is saying again, how does containerizations, example, Docker file benefit deployment of ML models? Great question. How does containerization, example, using of Docker benefit deployment of machine learning models? Now, this machine learning model, Arun, the question is very good, I think, is, so when you're deploying the machine learning, that machine learning model can be deployed on virtual machines. It can be deployed on the platform which comes, like, for example, Microsoft has ML ML. In AWS, SageMaker, Vertex AI, and so on. You can deploy it directly there. They provide you the underlying platform, underlying the compute. But then you can also deploy on a containers and Kubernetes, and a lot of companies are doing on a Kubernetes cluster, Arun, and that's where the Docker file will or Docker implementation will help, because we'll be building the images, and those images will be deployed on container Kubernetes. I think in MLOps we have this. If you're part of our MLOps program, we'll be covering that anyway. Brilliant. Mohan is saying, does this mean that we can customize training based on a comment? Absolutely. That's the whole point about machine learning. So there's a predefined, pre-trained models that comes. You can extend them, you can customize them, and you can write the whole machine learning model. Mohan, I'm assuming the question is the context of machine learning model. Yeah. Okay. Adil, so for Azure job-oriented program, let me pick up the question. So Adil, Azure job is different. DevOps is different. Okay, and this whole which I'm talking about today, this is a multi-cloud that encompasses the top level which you see here, which covers everything right from a DevOps to multi-cloud, cloud, Azure, AWS, everything, data and AI machine learning. Also, Azure DevOps and what you're part of, I'm assuming, is a separate thing. My team will help you, so don't worry about it. Yeah. So it makes it easier. What should I cover in the month of January based on that level? So get in touch with Adil, my team, our team, and then they will help you. So don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about all this. Yeah. So Siddharth is saying, I know Jenkins, then it needs to be learned. Git CI/CD. So that's just one part of Siddesh. Okay, so you know Jenkins. I think you should be also doing other things like infrastructure or Terraform. You should also be doing containers and Kubernetes, as well. Someone's asking. That's a good point to begin with, and look at Siddesh. What you should be look at what companies are looking for the job and prepare for those. Maris is saying, I'm a beginner. Where can I start cloud adventure? So Maris, if you're a beginner, you pick up whether you're going to pick AWS or Microsoft Azure. First begin with that, which one you're going to pick. Okay, maybe pick both or one of them, and then create a free account and play with that. So create virtual machines, create CI/CD, create, depending on what your objective is. I'm assuming your objective is job. Go to the job portal and say what companies are looking for and start building those. If you fill this form and submit this form, team will guide and tell you, depending on your background. I think I need a LinkedIn profile. Without that, it'll be difficult and challenging. Mohan is saying a few questions because today I've joined the third day to whom, so I reach out technical expertise, suggest me something so I can decide what training I should opt for. So Mohan, in that case, you fill the form. So Mohan is saying, I needed someone to guide me based on technical expertise. So I have a team who will help you on depending on what exactly your background is and what you want to achieve. Based on that, they will guide and suggest you on that, Mohan. Brilliant. With that, as I said, we'll go on a final part of this, which is about AI tools, the 3 AI tools. I'm going to go and record a separate video because I thought I'll be able to cover, but it'll need a little bit things. So first and most important is GitHub Copilot, which anyone is not learning, you should be doing. So the Copilot from a Microsoft Copilot, and there's a GitHub Copilot. So I'm going to go a dedicated video. Keep an eye on your email inbox in New Year or maybe before New Year, how to leverage GitHub Copilot with your Visual Studio Code. If you're a developer or working on DevOps, writing Terraform scripts, this is something you must know. So what it helps you in achieving is that you give a very simple instruction. You don't know any coding, you don't know any infrastructure, you don't know any Terraform script. Just tell it and it'll create a whole code for you and write down everything. You just simple and say, create a Terraform code to deploy a virtual machine and do this. It'll do it for you. So it's quite simple and easy, and you'll love that. So I'm going to create a separate video. Keep an eye in the box. We're going to do that that particular part. Second, that's part number 1. Part number 2, which I love this, and I've recently identified this, which is eraser.io, which is it'll draw the diagrams for you. So give an instruction. So if you look at the diagram here and canvas, so there are 3 parts of this tool that you see. Again, I'm going to create a separate video for using how to use eraser for different purpose. It'll do your documentation. It'll write your technical designs. Again, of course, don't rely 100% on this. But what I loved best part was about technical diagrams. You can easily and simply do the basic level diagrams. And if you have a paid version, you can go on a much more advanced version of diagrams you can do. So it's like a GPT for diagrams or yeah. So you give the instructions and then say for Azure or for Google or AWS or containers and Kubernetes, it'll go those icons and build it for you, and you can improve on that. So that's the eraser.io second tool. And third is, of course, probably you already know this, which is a ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. I think ChatGPT, all of you guys know. Gemini is from Google. ChatGPT is from OpenAI, and then Claude, Anthropic, Claude, it's doing good, especially the content writing part. Use it for resume writing, cover letters, LinkedIn profile, the content, and a lot of other things you can do. So these are 3 tools I highly recommend you. Those 2 I've explained on day 2 and day 3 on ChatGPT. I think day 1 and day 2. So look at those, but on technical diagrams and documentations, we'll be looking on part as well, and GitHub these 2 parts. With that, this is the 3rd and final day of Kubernetes. I know a lot of you guys it's a Friday. I've spent a little bit longer than I wanted to cover it in 90 minutes. We've done 19, 20 minutes extra. I'll be recording the videos as well. Before we go, one final thing, just rate me between 1 to 5, 5 being you're happy. And if you're not, let me know what I could have done to make it, because I'm going to do this. I'm going to redo another version, but on a smaller, maybe on a data side. So how many, what topics you want to see more in future in new year 2025? Do let me know as well. Between 1 to 5, 5 being happy, time well spent, you will learn something new. Or if anything below 5, let me know what I could have done to make it 5-star as well. And as I said, there's only 5 seats we'll be picking up February. So January is fully booked. Fill this form and do let me know so my team can guide and help you. This is not for everyone. This whole program, this is mainly about talking about is one-on-one. But if you're not fit, they will tell you what is the right thing for you. This is more for guys who are already into IT and going a bit next level as well. Thank you very much, Hemanta. Otherwise, guys, demo, great. Thank you very much. Mohan, let me know what demo you want to see, and we'll record a demo for making sure. I always say we have one of the core values, 1% improvement every day. I want to do a demo, but what happens is then I won't be able to cover all of them, so I might do a demo separately. Thank you very much for Mohan. Put in the chat window which demo you want to see, so I can create a demo for you. I promise on this. Okay. Amrut, thank you very much. Ram, thank you very much. Guys, if not, thank you very much for spending some time all the 3 days. Just to let you know, this recording will be available on here, so I'll show it to you. So go and join this community, just k2academy.com/free community. And then come onto the classroom here. And then on second part, this is where you have day 0. Start with play it 1.5 or 2x. I'll just fast forward and feel free to skip some part if you know. But day 1 where we covered AWS, day 2, and congratulations, Subbu. Day 2 we covered about Azure, Hamid, congratulations. And day 3 will be coming here, which is all about AI, machine learning, DevOps. I'm going to record a video, as I said, promised to you that we're going to record a video for this particular part for using Copilot, GitHub Copilot with Visual Studio Code. Also how to use eraser.io for diagrams and documentation. And then finally, of course, this is, I don't have to teach you. With that, as I said, thank you very, very much. And yeah, we'll close it for a day. And wonderful. Enjoy your new year. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, this Shai sir. So, sir, we need to cover one question that some people have selected that they have career gaps. So you need to cover that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So who had a career gap? Let's do one thing. Thank you very much for let me stop this now, my screen. Hold on 1 second. Can we unmute this? Hold on. Where is my screen gone? Oh yeah, this is my screen. Hold on. Thank you very much. So who had a career gap? Let's take this opportunity to unmute now, people. Undo.
Yes, sir, they can unmute now. I have enabled that option.
Okay, guys. So anyone wants to put your hand up? So the guy who said that there is a career gap. So if you have a career gap, companies, what they do is what's happening, first of all, is that companies, especially in US, UK, Canada, government gives a lot of grants to IT companies to rehire people with a gap or who are not working on the job, who are not on the job. Why? Because they want to bring these guys who are out of job onto the job ladder, and companies get the incentive. Companies get money to hire these from government. Government gives or take that. But what companies expect you to do is they expect you to know something before they take you. What they don't like is to hire you and then train you. You need to show them that, hey, you have that some capability, or you have attempted yourself. Be transparent and be open. And if you do something and go and tell them very transparently, this is the reason which I had a gap. A lot of ladies I'm on the program, they have that gap. But if you justify them and show them that what you have done, these proof of concept you have worked on, and you show the project-based learning, I'm 100% confident you'll get it. I'll give tons and tons of examples. If you have attempted, some of you have attempted and not managed to get it, please put your hand up. I'm more than happy to understand and help you on this point. Okay. So with that, is there anyone who's interested want to talk about? Let me see. Yep, there's one. I think Hemant. Hemant, yeah, please unmute yourself and go ahead and tell me, please. Hemant, do you have any like you want to? I think you haven't asked to unmute. You can ask.
Can you hear me now?
I can now. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to talk to you. So the thing is that when I was back in Sri Lanka, I worked with the telecommunication field. I worked as a senior telecommunication engineer. Then I moved to 2021 to UK. Now I'm based in the UK. So after moving to UK, I couldn't get any job for 2 years. Then recently, last year I got the job for NHS IT as a IT technician. So I just want to know that which course, which training program I should follow, the best way to go for this high paid job.
Gotcha. Okay. So and are you a little bit? So what you do in an IT technician or IT as in NHS?
Like I'm doing kind of the Active Directory maintaining and also some policy creating and using SCCM for automate deploying the apps and software kind of thing.
And where are you deploying these apps? Is it an on-premise world or there's a cloud?
On-premises. Yeah, we are on-premises.
Okay, great. Yeah. So if you're already working in Active Directory, you have two options. You can either go for AWS Cloud or Azure Cloud. Okay.
All right.
And because you're already working on to Active Directory, you might want to look at best would be I'll tell you. If you're in from UK, let me hide this. So if you're going, best is go to JobServe. JobServe. Are you familiar with JobServe or not from UK?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So you pick and say AWS, and then search for maybe any of these roles that you see, AWS, whatever you feel comfortable, or you go for Azure because you're doing Azure, and then I would suggest Azure Active Directory integration because if you're already working on those SCM and all those things, so you have Azure, and okay, so go for either Azure, AWS, and add a little bit of DevOps. So I think I would suggest if I'm in your place, what I would do, I would pick up AWS Cloud, Azure Cloud, and DevOps. This combination of these three. Okay. Now that is something. Yeah.
Yeah, one more question. So I don't have any program experience. I don't know about the coding. So would that be the problem for learning the DevOps?
No. So first of all, mate, I don't know the coding at all part. There's a little bit if you're doing Terraform, you might need to. But as I said, this tool that comes, and I think I've not prepared that environment. What otherwise I'll see. So most of the time in DevOps, you'll be doing operations part and that to infrastructure part. Okay, you're not writing the code or anything like that. So within DevOps, there is a two type of roles. One is called as development, and the second is operations. So you'll be doing operations part. So I've been working on DevOps. Though there's some expect you to do some scripting part, but with the tools like these days, you don't need to know anything, mate. You just simply either extending those or managing those, so you can get away without coding part. I've been managed to till in last 24 years. I don't know any coding, so yeah.
Thank you very much, Atul.
No worries.
I believe one of your team will reach me, right? Or do I need
if you fill, you have to fill the form.
All right, I will fill the form. All right.
Yeah, so the URL is, I think, in front. I forgot what is the URL. k2academy.com/AI Cloud call. Okay. Or just leave a message and I can ask them to help you.
Yeah, please, okay.
So if you should drop a message on this, or maybe just mention, okay, so we'll do. Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
No, it's wonderful, guys, and wish you a very, very happy New Year, everyone. Enjoy, and sorry for timing. It should have been better on Friday, and rather than Friday, we would be picking some other time. But wish you all the best. Take care, guys. Bye bye. And thanks for being a sport and spending time with me. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Stop recording. Stop.
The recording has stopped.
How do I exit from here? Okay.